Добрый вечер всем. Меня зовут Аня Пекерман, и я сегодня неурочно захожу в эфир, потому что хочу представить и поговорить с Никол Малиотакис, которая сейчас является членом Ассамблеи штата Нью-Йорк, а завтра будет участвовать в первичных выборах в Конгресс Америки от 11 округа. Никол с нами. Hi, Nicole. Uh-oh. У нас, похоже, какие-то... Hi. It's a great honor and a pleasure for us to have you here. Tomorrow is the big day. It's the congressional primaries. And you have 100% endorsement from President Trump, which is very exciting. He is full-heartedly behind you, and I'm sure it's because you have deserved it. So with all that is happening right now in our state, our country, everywhere actually in the world, let's start with the new crazy, because that is absolutely today's topic. We don't understand what's going on. We don't understand what's happening with this country. It seems like the rest of the world kind of gets it, but everybody inside is so divided, and riots, squads, nobody can agree on anything. The left, the right, nothing in the middle. And now we are taking down statues of our presidents, erasing history, and no one seems to be doing anything about anything. Can you start by saying why? How did we get to this point?
Yeah, well, I think we are at a critical point in our nation right now where we are either going to continue down a path where we preserve the American dream for future generations, the limitless opportunity that our country provides, and the limitless potential that this country provides, or we're going down a path of socialism. And I think that is at the core what has created so much division. And it's very unfortunate to see because, like many of your listeners who fled Russia, my mother is a Cuban refugee, and we've been on the show before where we've discussed this issue. I am someone who is running for Congress now specifically because I'm very offended by what I see. People like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Bernie Sanders and Bill de Blasio have created an environment where those individuals who are peddling socialism, in some cases even communism, coupled with anarchists, are trying to overthrow the democracy system that we have in this nation. And they're starting by creating havoc, but also by looking to erase our history as a nation. It's very problematic to see. And I think that this election is really about whether we are going to preserve the American dream of this nation, or are we going to move down a path. And I could tell you, as a daughter of a Cuban refugee, and my father's also an immigrant from Greece, we should not be looking to move down that path. We want to preserve the American dream. It is what attracted millions of immigrants to come to this nation for freedom, for liberty, for opportunity. We want to preserve that, and I will work with President Trump to do that. I think that's a very different distinction between what Republicans are offering, which is preserving freedom, opportunity, and the American dream, and what the Democrats are offering, which is socialism. And I have to say, right now in New York City, you have Democratic socialists, or you have Democrats who are afraid of the socialists. No one is pushing back against them except for the Republicans, which is why New York City needs to have at least one Republican voice representing it in Washington. I will be that person. This has historically been a seat, Staten Island, all of Staten Island, and then Southern Brooklyn. This has historically been the Republican voice for Washington, and it was lost in 2018. We will win it back. I need everyone that's registered Republican to vote tomorrow, so I ensure that I have the Republican line in addition to the conservative line I already have. So that way we will be strong, and then we can defeat Max Rose in November's election and ensure New York City has at least one Republican voice in Washington.
When we look at what's going on right now, it doesn't seem like Republicans have a lot of, a very strong voice. It seems like the everybody who is way to the left seems to have a lot louder voice, and seems like those are the rights that are being protected right now. As you just said, a lot of lying is happening. I mean, everywhere you look, it's basically one big lie. When people are saying we're fighting for freedoms, yet no one can really express themselves without getting in trouble, losing a job, becoming isolated by another group of people. And it seems that the liberal voices are much stronger right now than the Republican, even though we have a Republican president, it doesn't seem to outweigh of what's going on. What should take place right now what should happen right now? I mean, I believe that a lot of the people are sitting and waiting for something to happen. What can possibly happen? How can sanity take over this insanity?
Well, I think number one, here in New York City, we are very outnumbered, right? I'm a member of the New York State Legislature in the Assembly, and there's only 2 Republicans out of 65 from the entire city of New York. We are outnumbered statewide, 2-to-1, over 2-to-1, and we have the Democrats controlling city, state, and our federal representation in Washington. So the first thing would be we need to elect more Republicans. Republicans like me who are not afraid to stand up to Mayor de Blasio, as I did when I ran against him in 2017 for mayor, but more importantly, ones that will hold them accountable. I'm the one who led the fight to push back when the governor tried to release criminals with the bail reform changes. We fought back and we were successful, by the way, and there will be fixes to that bad law that will take effect July 1st. And that is because of our efforts, the Republican efforts. Even though we were outnumbered, we fought back. I was the one who stopped the mayor from bringing heroin injection centers to our community. I was the one who also got the mayor to agree to deport people who are here illegally who are commit sex crimes. That all of that was an uphill battle, but we were successful in doing it. I was the one who also in Albany stopped legislation that would have automatically registered illegal immigrants to vote in our elections, right? Preserving the integrity of our election. We know dismantling democracy starts with dismantling the integrity of our election system. So I think what the thing is this: we are the silent majority many times in terms of voter registration, right? We were the silent majority in 2016 that elected President Trump. We need Republicans to begin being more vocal, but we also need them to ensure that they come out in the election and vote Republican to push back on what the Democrats, the socialists, the anarchists are trying to do to our city, our state, and our nation. I mean, the idea that Max Rose, who's the Democrat I'm going to be running against in November, the idea that he was at a rally where they were chanting defund our police, that they had signs that said defund our police and that blue lives murder, is extremely offensive. And people are offended by that. They need to fight back. They need to support my campaign. They need to volunteer for my campaign. They need to go to my website, Nicole4ny.com, learn more about my race and how they can get involved. But most importantly, they need to vote in November. We cannot continue to have Democrats in Congress who vote to release criminals. The idea that Max Rose voted with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and the socialist members to release prisoners over the age of 50 back onto our streets, even if they were murderers or rapists. These are convicted criminals. That should not be accepted. He wants to close Rikers Island. He supports Governor Cuomo's elimination of bail. All these things are major issues that the people cannot accept. And it starts with voting in November. Actually starts with being more vocal now and sharing what's happening and what they're really doing. And then it also is voting in November and making sure that we have more Republican representation, not only here in New York City, but throughout the nation.
What about, I mean, it seems like the common sense really right now is at stake. A lot of people, what you're saying right now simply doesn't make sense, and again, the country is more divided between nonsense and common sense. I would put it this way. So, what about the nonsense that is happening right here in our city? A lot of our community is a Jewish community. And now anti Semitism doesn't just come from certain groups, individuals. Now the anti Semitism is coming from the government. And it's very apparent the way Bill de Blasio has been treating the Jewish community of New York is apparent. It's a direct anti-Semitism towards Jewish communities of New York. How is that being fought?
You know what? And that's why I'm proud to have the endorsement of the Jewish press. The newspaper, very influential, has endorsed me. I've also worked very closely with Assemblyman Dov Heikind on issues, but I've also spoken out against people like Representative Ilhan Omar, who has been anti-Semitic. And you're right, for the first time, we are seeing anti-Semitism and socialism within the ranks of the House of Representatives. And it is very scary. And that's why an election like mine is so important for two reasons. One, I will not be afraid to stand up against Ilhan Omar, just like I have had already, even though I'm not a member of Congress. I won't call her a friend with whom I share values, as Representative Max Rose has. And I have to say that we need to take back the majority of the House of Representatives. And that's important because right now Ilhan Omar is in the majority, sitting on the House Foreign Affairs Committee. What kind of message does that send to our allies, particularly Israel? I visited Israel in July, and talking to the people there, they said that they're wondering if for the first time America is wavering in their support of Israel because of the rhetoric coming from people like Ilhan Omar and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and others. And so I think it's very important that we stress the important ally, the relationship between the United States and Israel when it comes to security, when it comes to economics, when it comes to military, so many different partnerships that we have with the state of Israel, and it is our most reliable ally in the region, as we all know, and we can't jeopardize that. So I think it is extremely important to take back the majority. This seat that I'm running in, which is all of Staten Island and southern Brooklyn, so it's Bay Ridge, Dyker Heights, part of Bensonhurst, Bath Beach, part of Gravesend, a little part of Sheepshead Bay. This seat has always been Republican voice in Washington, but we've held this seat Republican for 30 years, except for one exception. We lost it in 2018. We have to win it back, not only so New York City has a Republican voice, but so we take back the House of Representatives and make it a Republican majority and fire Nancy Pelosi once and for all. That's what this is about, having a House of Representatives that will support President Trump. I have the president's endorsement, and I'm going to work with him, and we can do this to ensure that we rebuild our economy, we restore American jobs, we strengthen our relationship with our allies, we strengthen our military, and of course, we restore law and order. All very important things that I believe your listeners want here in New York.
Absolutely. RUSA Radio definitely stands for common sense, which is everything that we just heard from you right now. We appreciate the job that you're doing, and we appreciate everything that you stand for. We've been friends for a long time. We're certainly wishing you lots of luck in tomorrow's primary election, and I definitely encourage everybody who can go out tomorrow and cast a vote for Nicole Malliotakis. Definitely, please do so. We do need to get common sense back into this country, and we need to get America back again. So, Nicole, lots of luck tomorrow, and of course, more importantly, in November. And we certainly hope to have you on again, and we're your supporters here, and may the best woman win.
Thank you, Anna. And again, for your listeners, if you live in Staten Island, anywhere on Staten Island, or southern Brooklyn, the neighborhoods that I described, and you're a registered Republican, please turn out and vote tomorrow. So incredibly important. We win large margin. We want the momentum to go into November and make sure that we win back this seat. I appreciate your support. And my website, Nicole4ny.com.
Thank you so much. Еще раз хочу просто сказать по-русски, что Никол Миллиотакис получила полную поддержку президента Трампа. Она баллотируется на 11-й Congressional Seat. Завтра primaries, и очень важно, чтобы все, кто могут, кто сейчас хочет более-менее, чтобы в нашей стране уже хотя бы мы начали идти к порядку, а закончили с беспорядками, пожалуйста, не забудьте завтра проголосовать. Это безумно важно. Хотя бы все, что мы сейчас можем сделать, хотя бы это дать наш голос правильному человеку, правильному кандидату. Завтра primaries, Никол Миллиотакис, 11-й Congressional District. Пожалуйста, проголосуйте.
Hi, this is Donald Trump Jr. My father and I are urging you to vote for Nicole Malliotakis in tomorrow's Republican primary. It is critical we elect Nicole Malliotakis to Congress because Nicole will stand up for law and order and help my father restore American jobs while putting our country first. My father made the right decision endorsing Nicole because she is the conservative voice New York City desperately needs